My name is Laura Bennett, and I am 28 years old. For the past 4 years, I've been married to Andrew. During that time, I've endured more than my fair share of drama, all thanks to my mother-in-law, Evelyn. From the day we said, "I do," she made it her mission to undermine me at every turn. But nothing could have prepared me for the sheer audacity of her latest stunt. It all began during one of our routine family dinners, a charade where Evelyn loved to pretend she was the matriarch of a perfect household. I was helping clear the table when Evelyn's sharp voice cut through the air like a knife. "Laura," she said, her tone dripping with feigned politeness, "there's something we need to address." I turned to face her, already bracing for whatever ridiculous accusation she was about to hurl my way. Evelyn's pale blue eyes gleamed with malice as she gestured for Andrew to sit down, making it clear this was going to be a family affair. "I've noticed," she began, glancing at Andrew for dramatic effect, "that a significant amount of money has gone missing from the household account." My heart sank. I had been managing all the household expenses for months, something Evelyn was well aware of. Andrew, oblivious as always, leaned forward with a concerned expression. "What do you mean, Mom?" he asked. Evelyn sighed theatrically, as if the burden of speaking such words pained her deeply. "I mean that Laura has been skimming money from the account. I've checked the records, and there are several discrepancies." Her words hit me like a slap to the face. For a moment, I was too stunned to respond. Andrew turned to me, his brow furrowed in confusion. "Laura, is this true?" he asked. I looked between the two of them, my anger bubbling to the surface. "Are you serious, Evelyn? You know I've been paying all the household expenses, out of my own pocket, I might add, because the account was drained months ago." Evelyn's expression didn't waver. If anything, she looked pleased to see me squirm. "That's a bold claim," she said with a smirk. "Do you have proof?" "Proof? Of course, I didn't have receipts for every payment I made. Why would I? I never thought I'd need to defend myself against such a ludicrous accusation." "I don't need proof," I snapped. "Andrew knows I've been handling everything while he's been working extra hours." But Andrew, instead of supporting me, hesitated. "I mean, Mom does have access to the account, Laura. She wouldn't lie about something like this." The betrayal stung worse than I could have imagined. My own husband, my partner, was siding with the very woman who had made my life a living hell since day one. I felt the room closing in around me, but I refused to let Evelyn see me break. "Fine," I said, my voice cold and steady. "If that's what you want to believe, I'll stop paying for anything. Let's see how long this household runs without my contributions." Evelyn's smirk faltered for the briefest moment, but she recovered quickly. Andrew looked alarmed, but didn't say a word. I turned on my heel and left the dining room, my mind racing with thoughts of escape. As I packed a bag that night, I realized something important. I was done playing Evelyn's games. If she wanted to paint me as the villain, I would gladly let her. But I wasn't going to stick around to watch her destroy my marriage and my sanity. Little did she know I had plans of my own, and I wasn't just walking away. I was going to make sure Evelyn's lies caught up to her in the most spectacular way possible. Leaving Andrew's house that night was supposed to feel like a loss. Instead, it felt like freedom. I drove to a small motel just outside the city and checked in, determined to gather my thoughts. As I lay on the stiff mattress, staring at the cracks in the ceiling, one thing became clear. Evelyn had underestimated me. I wasn't just leaving her precious home behind. I was leaving her lies, her manipulation, and her control. And I wasn't going to stop there. Evelyn had accused me of stealing money, but she didn't realize I had kept meticulous records of every bill I paid and every expense I covered. She thought I was naive, but she was about to learn otherwise. The next morning, I started with my bank statements. Over the past 6 months, I had used my personal account to pay for everything from the electric bill to groceries. I highlighted every transaction and printed them out, creating a timeline of exactly how much I had spent. The total shocked even me. It was nearly $15,000. Armed with this information, I decided to dig deeper. Evelyn had always been secretive about her finances, but Andrew once mentioned she had control over his personal account. I had access to Andrew's login details from when he asked me to pay a bill months ago. Part of me hesitated. It felt wrong to snoop, but I reminded myself that Evelyn had accused me of theft. If she could lie about me, I had no qualms about uncovering her secrets. What I found made my blood boil. In Andrew's account were multiple transactions that Evelyn had labeled as household expenses. But these weren't payments for bills or groceries. They were transfers to her personal savings account. She had siphoned off nearly $20,000 over the past year, while making it look like I was the one mismanaging the funds. With my evidence in hand, I decided to strike while the iron was hot. I emailed Andrew copies of my bank statements along with a breakdown of the transactions from his account. My message was short and direct. Andrew, I've attached proof of every bill I've paid over the past 6 months. I've also included a record of transactions from your account. I'll let you decide who's been stealing money from this family. Until then, don't contact me. Laura. I hit send and turned off my phone. Let him stew in the truth for a while. A week passed before I heard anything. Andrew called repeatedly, but I ignored him. Then came the voicemail I'd been waiting for. Laura, I don't know how to say this, but you were right. Mom's been transferring money from my account. She said it was for emergencies, but I checked her statements, and she's been spending it on herself.
I'm so sorry. Can we talk?
Please? I listened to the message twice, savoring the desperation in his voice. But I wasn't done yet. Evelyn had humiliated me, and now it was her turn. I contacted a lawyer and provided all the evidence I'd gathered. We filed a formal complaint against Evelyn for misappropriation of funds. Since the money she took was under Andrew's name, he would need to be involved if this went to court. I made it clear that I wouldn't back down, even if it meant exposing their family drama publicly. The next step was more personal. I reached out to a local journalist I knew from college and tipped her off about a story involving financial fraud within a prominent family. I kept the details vague, but I knew Evelyn valued her reputation above all else. A few strategic leaks would ensure her downfall reached the ears of everyone she wanted to impress. When the story broke, Evelyn was livid. She showed up at my motel unannounced, banging on the door like a woman possessed. I opened it just enough to see her wild expression. "You think you can ruin me, you little liar?" she screeched. "Ruin you?" I said, my voice calm. "You did that all on your own. I just made sure everyone knows the truth." Her face turned red, and for a moment, I thought she might lunge at me. Instead, she stormed off, muttering threats about lawsuits and revenge. I smiled as I watched her leave. She had no idea what else I had in store. 2 weeks later, Andrew called again, this time sounding more defeated than desperate. "Laura," he said, "Mom confessed. She admitted she took the money and blamed it on you, because she thought I wouldn't believe you. I don't know how to fix this."
"You can't," I replied.
"I've already moved on." The final nail in Evelyn's coffin came when the court ordered her to repay the money she had stolen. She tried to shift the blame onto Andrew, but the evidence was irrefutable. Her social circle shunned her, her reputation crumbled, and for the first time, Evelyn was powerless. As for me, I used the money I recovered to start fresh. I moved to a new city, started a new job, and finally began living life on my terms. Evelyn and Andrew were just memories now, a cautionary tale of what happens when you underestimate the wrong person. Rebuilding my life wasn't easy, but it was worth every ounce of effort. I settled into a cozy apartment in Denver, a city far enough away to escape the lingering shadows of my past. For the first time in years, I felt truly free. No Evelyn watching my every move, no Andrew dismissing my concerns, and no toxic household draining my energy. It was just me, my ambitions, and a newfound sense of purpose. I landed a position at a nonprofit organization managing their finances. The irony of it wasn't lost on me. After all, I'd spent months being accused of financial mismanagement by Evelyn. This job felt like poetic justice, a chance to prove my capabilities to myself and anyone who ever doubted me. My coworkers were welcoming, and my boss quickly recognized my knack for organizing budgets. It felt good to be valued for my skills rather than being seen as a target for blame or manipulation. I was finally thriving. One evening, as I was unwinding with a glass of wine, my phone buzzed with a message from Andrew. Against my better judgment, I opened it. Laura, I'm sorry for everything. I know I should have believed you from the start, but I let Mom manipulate me. I miss you. Can we meet to talk? I stared at the message, anger and pity swirling inside me. Andrew had made his choice when he sided with Evelyn. There was no going back. Instead of replying, I archived the conversation and blocked his number. Closure wasn't something I needed from him. I'd already given it to myself. A few weeks later, I heard from a mutual acquaintance that Evelyn's life had spiraled further out of control. The court had not only ordered her to repay the stolen money, but also fined her for fraud. Unable to meet the financial obligations, she had to sell her house and move into a smaller place. Her friends had turned their backs on her, and her social standing, something she had always prided herself on, was in ruins. I imagined her sitting alone in that tiny apartment, bitter and broken, a far cry from the haughty woman who once controlled her family with an iron fist. I felt no sympathy. Evelyn had reaped what she'd sown. Months passed, and my life flourished. I'd saved enough to buy a small condo in a quiet neighborhood. It wasn't extravagant, but it was mine, a space I could call home without anyone else's interference. For the first time in a long time, I was truly happy. One day at work, my boss called me into his office. Laura, he said, smiling warmly, we've been impressed with your work. I'd like to offer you the position of finance director. I accepted without hesitation. The promotion came with a significant salary increase and the validation I had long craved. My hard work had finally paid off. On a rare day off, I decided to visit a local art gallery. As I browsed the exhibits, I heard a familiar voice behind me. Laura? I turned to see Andrew, looking disheveled and defeated. It was clear life hadn't been kind to him since I left. For a moment, I felt a pang of sadness for the man I had once loved, but it quickly faded. Andrew, I said coolly, what are you doing here? I wanted to see you. I've been thinking about everything, and I know I messed up. I don't blame you for leaving, but I miss you. Can we? I cut him off with a raised hand. Andrew, I've moved on. You should too. His shoulders slumped, and he nodded, walking away without another word. Watching him go, I felt nothing but relief. That chapter of my life was over. That evening, as I sat on my balcony with a cup of tea, I reflected on the journey that had brought me here. I had been underestimated, blamed, and betrayed, but I had come out stronger. Evelyn and Andrew had tried to break me, but they had only succeeded in teaching me how to stand tall. Revenge wasn't about destruction, it was about reclaiming your power. By walking away, exposing the lies, and building a better life for myself, I had won in ways they could never understand. I smiled as I looked out over the city lights, thinking about the future. My past no longer defined me. It had shaped me, yes, but it didn't control me. I was free to live on my terms, and I intended to make the most of it. For the first time in years, I felt at peace.